Hello and welcome to Moscato&Tea. This is the show for all things beauty, business, and community with your host, Inez and Chiquita. Keeping it raw, real, and unfiltered.
Welcome.
What up, lady? What's going on?
How are you?
Good. Look, I'm good. How are you? Like, I'm loving this like new Afrocentric, kind of look you got going on. Was it Black Panther that got you on this?
Wakanda forever.
Got you on this forever?
Yes. Listen,
girl,
that Lupita girl.
I'm not mad at you.
Gotta do it.
I know. I feel you.
Gotta represent.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm very, very, very excited today. After
today and every day.
Yes, every day. After watching, Black Panther and everything.
Absolutely. Took it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
I was already proud. Now it's even more. Like,
I know. It's been
what
insane.
Can you say?
So, it's all about that and about empowerment and, brotherhood and sisterhood. And so
yes.
I'm really excited for today because we have some special guests in.
Yes, we do. Why don't you go ahead and introduce who we have in the studio with us?
The one and only host of the fabulous The Mean Network, Mr. Brian Rivers. Mr. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the intro.
Yes. How are you guys?
I'm feeling good. It's been about time, so we can get on this show. I know we had to reschedule earlier in the month.
Yes,
well,
which is understandable. Yes, no, thank you guys for coming on.
It's a little early.
Yes, it's a little early.
But
yes.
But
it's never too early for some Moscato, though. So let's get this party started.
Pop the okay.
There's no pop.
There's no pop, but
that's okay.
That's
okay.
I want to.
Yeah, sometimes
that's
depending.
Okay.
Depending.
Yeah.
Also want to add that I like the Afrocentric look you got going on, Chiquita.
Thank you.
All right.
You.
In our last podcast, I said that you can't talk to me the same way you talked to me in January and February after watching Black Panther. And
I know.
it's Black History Month.
I know. She's like, no. She took it. That's what I said. I'm like, go ahead with your bad self. I'm not even mad at you.
Dashiki. That's why I said
yes, I did see your photo with the dashiki. I appreciate that. I loved it. I had to call him and be like, what is going on? So, no, it was fabulous. But thank you so much again for being here. So let's just get started. Let's just get in it. Yeah. Tell me and all of our listeners about the Mean Network.
Start?
The Mean Net. I feel like I'm starting off the show.
Okay.
The Mean Network is a podcast about average people strive to do above average things. And we just talk about everyday issues. We started 2 years ago.
Yeah, about 2 years already.
Towards the end of October 2000. No, towards the end of 2015. And I was writing blogs for this company called like Art Is My Drugs. They were a little crappy, but I was starting somewhere. And
you were doing it.
Yeah, Brian hit me up and he was like, yo, how long have you been doing that? And I told him what I wanted to do. But I wanted to just do like blogs, and then he was like, "Well, have you thought about a podcast?" And then
it just blew up.
Yeah,
because I see the videos, I listen to the show. You guys are everywhere.
Trying to be like I started off. I went to Cal State Northridge, and I studied journalism. So from there, I started to fall in love with like interviewing and just the media side of things. But then I quickly realized that I didn't want to do broadcasts where I started, and then I moved to public relations. But then towards about the middle of my college years, I started listening to podcasts. And I saw what John was doing, so I reached out to him, and we just kind of linked up. Because we went to high school together, and kind of went our separate ways for a while, and then linked back up after college.
Drummer school.
Okay. That's
where you guys degree from.
Okay.
That's cool. So what makes someone an above average person? How do you choose that person?
For me, it's just someone who is continuing to strive to have their own business or just kind of put their focus into something where it's like they're not settling, if you will. If it's for having your own waxing business, if it's owning your own tanning salon, whatever it is, you're just striving to work towards your goals and your dreams as opposed to just settling and just choosing whatever job. It's whatever means something to you.
Yeah,
I don't like hearing people talk about this job has a good retirement plan.
Yeah, man.
Taking a risk. So you guys look for people who are like kind of taking a risk and following dreams and doing more than just trying to get money or get a check and being inspired. So it's more finding someone who's inspiring and can inspire others in what they're doing.
Definitely.
So when you're searching for someone, how do you go about, like, how do you find these above average people who are doing these kinds of things?
So most of the people that we already have is people that we know. We like to support, as the hashtag say, support the homies, as they say. So we reach out to people that we know, people who are pretty much in their community doing things, whether it's podcasts or, like I mentioned earlier, just different jobs.
Right.
And that's people that we've been gravitating towards. And then when I say, the people that we look for, you don't have to have your own business. That's not the case.
Right.
It's just people who are trying to, put their best foot forward and also help
People
others
wanna
whatever they
grow.
offer. Yeah.
Right. So, like, let's say if I knew somebody who was above average, would I reach out to you? And how could I reach out to you, or like nominate somebody? How could we, besides that? Because people are going to listen. They might go, oh, I know somebody who's above average that is doing something for the community or doing whatever. I would like to nominate that. Is there a way to be, someone can contact you, nominate? Do you go through like a screening process, application? How does it go?
We send an investigator out.
Yeah, right. Like,
Make
are you
sure they're
legit?
really-
Yeah. Like, how does it go?
No, we're always taking suggestions. Like, if you know someone who's doing something and it's positive and it's them striving to help other people, we always want to try to shine a light on people who are doing that. So you just shoot us an email. Got Brian's number. You'll have my number or contact after this. And, we always want to shed a light on people.
Also, just DM us, especially
Yeah.
on Instagram. That's probably one of the best ways to do it is to DM us if you don't have our contact information. We read them.
But make sure they really doing it, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. I
We
mean,
want to remove that post.
And your
Flagging
ex-name
myself.
because
Yes.
you're not
You ain't doing it.
right.
What has been like the most, I don't want to say controversial, but you've received the most backlash,
Backlash
or
on a topic or something?
Yeah, on the topic from your show.
Usually it's John that gets the backlash.
Oh.
If you listen to the episodes,
Okay.
he has some of the more he has more hot takes than
Yeah.
others.
It's more
Okay.
about truth.
Yeah. Okay.
So what was it?
It's too. We were talking about transgenders
Okay.
a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not really okay with the whole movement. I mean, not like that. Like,
Explain yourself.
Yeah,
I'm ready to
there
explain yourself
Already
first.
got it.
Here we
Real
go.
briefly, explain yourself.
I'm not. I have no issue with an individual who's a transgender, but the movement in itself, it gets to a point where it's like, okay, now you're trying to impose on my freedom of speech and trying to force me to. I don't know if you guys know about like the whole pronoun situation.
No.
Okay, well, with this new transgender movement, it's like you can't say, "Oh, she looks nice," because she might be a unicorn, and that's what they want to be addressed by.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so it's like now you're forcing me
Yeah.
to adapt new words to my language to accommodate you.
Yeah.
and I don't agree with that.
Okay.
The movement's a little irritating.
So you see why he
Yeah,
gets
yeah,
he
I can
gets
see. Yeah, I
it's
can
controversial,
see.
you know?
Yes, absolutely.
I digress.
But at the end of the day, that's what makes your podcast who you guys are and interesting. And we're allowed, as I always say, we're allowed to express ourselves and say whatever. It might not always sit well with everybody, but
Yes.
it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah,
we have
definitely.
number 45 who says whatever the hell he wants to
Exactly.
say and does whatever he wants to say. And, it is an issue, but at the end of the day, it's also teaching us that we are, we just gotta, there's lines,
Definitely.
there's lines, but that also awesome. And then on your podcast, so as men who, do young, fine-looking black man here, okay, ladies,
Thank you, thank you.
but
Thank you.
who do these kinds of things. Do you also talk about, like, what else are your topics? Do you talk about relationships? Like, do you talk about dating? Do you talk about, what's going on in the community? Like, what is, like, pretty much your key focus in, like, are you just pretty much whatever's on the table, you just kind of talk about? Because I know Chiquita and I, pretty much what's ever on the table, because basically when you're in a wax room and you're waxing,
We talk about
you
everything.
you
Yeah.
talk about whatever. It's pretty much, like I always tell people, I've seen it all, heard it all, nothing shocks me. So,
Yeah.
in that kind of sense.
That reminds me of conversations people have in the barbershop and stuff.
Yeah,
You never know
yeah,
what's
it's
gonna
very
come out.
much.
Yes,
It's very much a
exactly.
barbershop mentality, except it's just one-on-one.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
not a whole bunch of people, because I don't think
Yeah.
my clients would really like a whole bunch of people around
Yeah.
while I'm doing
No,
my
exactly.
bit, doing stuff.
Yeah, one of our biggest things is that we never wanted to put ourselves in a box when it comes to topics. We wanted just whatever comes to the table, whatever is in the media, whatever it is to capture our eyes, to be able to talk about it. Because once you put yourself in a box, sometimes that's great for certain podcasts. There are some niche podcasts that really take off. Like we have a friend called her name is Chris Bartolucci. She has a podcast called Analog Talk, which is about cameras and stuff. And that's a niche audience, and hers is taking off, and it's great. So for us, it can be from transgenders, it can be relationships, it can be sports, whatever it is, whatever captures our minds at the time. Cryptocurrency, we had a recent episode about that. And gentrification, that one kind of took off as well.
Okay.
So just whatever's on the table that we feel like talking about, because, you know, when you're an average person, you have all these different media outlets to look at and things on the table that you can, you know, turn your eyes towards. So we didn't want to box ourselves in.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. How often do you guys tend to like have guests come in?
We haven't really been having guests
You haven't just
too much. Last year we were heavy with the guest, and then it kind of got us away from our focus of what we wanted to do, just like be informative while we're having a good time and we're trying to show people how to be like above average. So now we don't really have too many guests, but we'll probably get back into it. It has to be the right guest.
Yeah,
We're doing it for the wrong reasons.
That's true. That's true. Completely
I don't
true.
even care about
I
what you're
understand.
talking about.
Yeah, right.
No, seriously.
How do you guys do it with guests?
It's mostly kind of like if we know people or people like kind of who are doing really great things in the community, we want to bring them in.
Y'all ever reach out, like hop in some DMs?
We've done that a couple times. We've actually met a lot of cool people, and we actually have somebody going to be coming in around like June, and she's actually doing some extraordinary things in the community with helping kids, high school kids go to college and stuff, and like she's built a whole, network around that.
So, yeah, I mean, it was kind of like we'll get whoever we feel is doing something positive and trying to expose and getting another platform for their business. Because as a business owner myself, it's very difficult sometimes to be able to get that platform to speak about or to say anything. And so what we also, it's basically, I said, it's anything that's you talk about like in a hair salon, wax room, whatever. We talk about everything. We talk about our community. We talk about what's, dating, everything that's possible we talk about. So we try to focus in on, let's have somebody who's doing something in the community. Oh, let's have somebody who's talking about beauty. Oh, let's have somebody who a writer. So it also encompasses what I do. It encompasses what Chiquita does. So it's just kind of one of those things. So we're like, oh, gentlemen who are doing something and have a podcast, let's share podcasts and kind of build up each other's podcasts and talk about, because I think sometimes, I know we have male listeners that might want to hear a male point of view or perspective and have, like, okay, let me hear what they got going on. You may have some female listeners that'll be like, oh, they got some females, like, listen. So it's all about just pretty much building each other up in the community and where we live at and making our lives and everybody else a little better and, in these times.
Yeah,
we try to have a roundtable discussion at the end of every month for our podcast. So like people will come in, we have like a small audience or so, and we'll have a topic and everyone is able to chip in and stuff. I feel like you guys would be good at that too.
Yeah, no, that'd be fun. We'll have to come in.
You got some strong opinions.
We do.
Yes,
very
much.
It's one of those things that we just kind of, it just kind of started and it just kind of rolling. We're still kind of figuring out. We're like in a whirlwind right now.
No, you guys are dope. I've been listening.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
That's how it is, though. You figure it out as you go.
Yeah, something we're
Things
figuring
fall
out.
into place.
Yeah, kind of falling into place, and we're kind of doing everything. Everybody's always like, oh, did you like go to journalism? I was like, no, honey, it's just been, how many clients, people I've seen in a room. And you got to talk to, and how many different types of people you got to talk to and deal with. And in a 30 minutes in an hour span, you just learn how to communicate and ask questions.
Definitely.
You have to adapt to it.
I'm a big advocate for you not needing school.
Yeah.
Hence the drum degree.
Okay,
there you go. There you go.
You gonna play a beat for us?
Yeah, there you go.
Gotcha.
Seriously.
You're gonna air drum like okay.
Yeah. Well, let me throw a topic out there for you guys, and we can get it kind of started a little early. What do you guys think about the march on March 24th with the kids with Parkland, the shooting? What do you guys think about that? The kids going up to Congress and protesting and everything that's going on, and how the NRA and all that controversy. What do you think about that?
I disagree with it.
Okay.
I don't like it. It's not about the guns. It's about everything prior to the gun. It's the legislation. There's legislation in place to prevent actions like this, because if anyone goes back and looks at Nicholas Cruz's track record, I think I said this or talked about this on the podcast.
Yeah.
During the past 7 years, cops have been called to his house around 39 times. He went on Snapchat